When you start making more money, please don't rush to upgrade your lifestyle. Instead, use that money to 1, increase your savings, 2, pay down or pay off any debt, 3, invest that money into some things that's gonna make you more money that don't require all your time, your physical presence, or your energy. And I say that because a lot of times when we get to making more money, we get to immediately spending more money. We go upgrade our car, get a newer car with a higher car note, upgrade our house or apartment, pay more in rent, more in mortgage. So that's why you get a lot of people that say that I'm making the most money I've ever made, but as they were making more money, they start spending more money, so it still feel like you're in the same place. And I'm not saying don't upgrade at all. I'm not saying don't go do things that you weren't able to do because you didn't have the finances to do them, and now that you do, don't. I'm just saying don't be so in a hurry and keep yourself essentially in the same exact place even though you're making way more money. Because the goal is to be free, and if you can do those first 3 things I mentioned first and take care of that, everything else will be a piece of cake. I'm telling you, everything that you think you want right away, it can wait. It's gonna be there. It's not going nowhere. Listen, I done been there and done that. And so I'm telling you now, if you can avoid that and like I said, prioritize those first 3 things that I mentioned, bro, you will thank yourself for years to come. I wish I would have increased my savings. I wish I would have paid off all my debt, and I wish I would have invested more into assets and had that passive income come in and use that to really upgrade my lifestyle or pay for the things that I thought I wanted.
This video dives into something way too many of us deal with: credit card debt. People are being honest about how much they owe, how they're trying to pay it off, and the lessons they've learned. One person even called their credit card company to get into a program with lower interest. I didn't even know you could do that until recently. Others are getting creative with side hustles and content creation. If you're working through debt too, don't forget to build up that emergency fund first. That way, you're not relying on credit card when life happens.
Girl math this, girl math that. You guys, it's 2025, and in this economy, I'm gonna be so real. Millionaires are made in recessions, and the broke are often left more broke. If you wanna get ahead of the curve, this is the time to be more financially responsible. Basic financial tips that you should know. Rent is like $3,000 a month. You should at minimum be making really like 2.5 times that. You should be budgeting at least 20% for savings, investment, and debt. If you continue to spend more money as you make more money, you're never actually really making more money. Trying to look like you have more money than you actually have and what you actually can afford will be your downfall. It will catch up to you. If you can't manage 50K, you will never be able to manage 500K. If you cannot buy it twice, at minimum, really 3 times, you cannot actually afford it. Maybe it's because I'm a Gen Z, but I feel like you should have at least minimum 3 streams of income per month. Your credit score does matter.
10 things I wouldn't do now that I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years. Number 1, I would not use my debit card for online purchases. Yes, you have fraud protection, but the money does physically leave your account. You have to work with your bank to get it credited back. Worse, it may happen when you're not currently looking at your account, causing other bills or checks to bounce. Credit cards only when you're buying online. Number 2, I would do everything I can to avoid being a car buyer right now, new or used. Dealerships have to make up for reduced inventories by jacking up prices and adding garbage fees on the back end. This is only going to add more trouble down the road when you want to sell or trade in. You're going to be so far upside down, you're either going to have to drive that car into the ground or roll that negative equity into your next purchase, which isn't a guarantee. My advice, make your current car last another 6 to 12 months. Inventory levels should balance out and prices come back to normal. Number 3, I never pay credit card interest. At least I haven't in years. I don't use credit cards for anything more than a convenience as a replacement for cash. Do not let credit cards let you live beyond your means. If I can't pay for it in full when the first bill comes, I don't charge it and I don't compromise. That's how I stay out of debt. Number 4, don't miss out on your employer's 401k match. There's chatter on social media about, hey, 401ks are not that good. You should be buying real estate or whole life insurance. That's fine. They can say what they want. But 401k match is free money. Your employer's trying to help you save for retirement. Take the free money. Don't pass it up. If I had a magic bank where you could make a $100 deposit and I gave your receipt back for $200, you'd run home and find every $100 bill you could. That's what's happening when your employer matches your contributions. Don't pass up the free money. Number 5, I don't borrow money for things unless they go up in value, namely real estate. I buy my cars, my toys, my vacations, my electronics. I pay cash for them. Don't pay interest on depreciating assets. Like, follow, and share for part 2 of the 10 things I wouldn't do as a financial advisor.
Okay, let's talk fast finance. 1, assign your money a job before you spend it. Every dollar needs a purpose. Wandering money just disappears. 2, have a money day every week or every other week. I know life is busy, but if you do not schedule your finances, it will not get handled. 3, separate your soft life fund from your emergency fund. One protects your peace, the other protects your lifestyle. 4, know your top 3 money metrics: net worth, monthly burn, your savings rate. You don't need a fancy degree to do this. 5, build a bare minimum budget. If everything were to fall apart, how much will it cost you to cover the basics? This number matters. 6, stop using your checking account as a scoreboard. A high balance doesn't always necessarily mean financial freedom. You want to elevate, get crafty and strategic about your money, aka investments. Now 7, learn to say no even when you can afford it, okay? Discipline is not a form of punishment, it's protection. 8, track your emotional spending triggers. Are you spending because you're sad, bored, trying to prove something? Know your patterns. 9, buy luxury out of overflow, not from obligation. We don't perform success, we embody it. And 10, treat your finances like a business. Income, expenses, strategy, goals. You are the CEO of your life, so act like it. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional. Smart girls have systems, so make sure you build yours.
4 things I had to learn the hard way after going from making $10,000 a year to nearly 7 figures. Just because you make that much doesn't mean that you have that much money. Because baby, the more you make, the more you have to spend. Because number 2, taxes is going to eat you up. Especially if you weren't spending your money thinking about having to pay taxes. Because number 3, as a content creator, I've come to realize one of the best things you can do with your money is invest in your content. Business expense. Because number 4, the more money you make, the more financially literate you need to become. Yeah, you can get an accountant, but you gotta trust you with your money before you trust anybody else.
I think that the most frustrating thing about becoming financially literate is learning about all of the things that you're already too late for. And like, you can do them at any time and that's fine, but how much you would have benefited from simply knowing about it sooner, and not things that you didn't have access to because you didn't have money, things that you didn't have access to because you just didn't know that you could do them, that you thought were only for rich people. Like, sure, you may not have had a ton of money in savings, but like, you could have had a high yield savings account. Sure, you might not have had a lot of money to invest, but you could have been investing, or you had money in your 401k because that's all you know is you started a job and they had a 401k for you, but it wasn't actually invested, so it was just sitting there doing nothing. Doing absolutely nothing. Like, you didn't know that using a credit card instead of a debit card was actually so beneficial. As somebody who grew up poor, I always thought that like the best thing that you could do was not have debt and not put anything on credit cards, or that like paying somewhere with a credit card was to some extent shameful because it felt like you didn't have the money. And obviously that's not the case. Obviously now you can find out what all of the rich people are doing and learn that it's not actually about having more money to do it with, it's about entirely financial education. And I know that it's intentional, but if we were even to try and upkeep the guise of wanting a better society, wanting the betterment of quality of life for people, why wouldn't we tell kids about this? Why wouldn't we tell teenagers about this? Why do we send them out into the world with this information? Why did I get sent out into the world without this information? That's so frustrating.
People underestimate what a privilege it is to be financially literate, to know what is going on with your finances, to be able to invest, to have credit cards, to have savings account. I mean, just look up, like, just in the US, like, what percentage of Americans have savings accounts, emergency savings accounts, have more than $1,000 in their bank account. The numbers are jarring, and it gets worse when it comes to being a woman, and it gets far worse. Put POC, it's like a triple homicide if you're a woman and POC. So I just wanted to share some of the things that I learned through mentors, through financial literacy courses that I took, and different programs that I've been a part of, and how you should set yourself up financially now that you are a college student, so that you can like literally chill once you're graduating. And I'm a senior this year, so I've been thinking about this a lot, especially applying to full-time jobs, but I'm going to share everything that I know. These are basically all the accounts that you need to have open in order to like be at a good level to start then going into other parts of financial literacy. First things first is a debit card, and all this is going to do is serve as a pass along stationary little area for you. So money comes in, it goes into your debit card, goes right out to your savings, your investing, to pay off your credit card, stuff like that. You do not want to go to a store, a restaurant, anywhere, and you do not want to hand over your debit card. You don't gain anything from spending on your debit card. You don't get any points. You're not building credit. You're not getting any cash back, none of that. So it's literally useless to spend money on your debit card. You do not want to use your debit card for spending. Its only purpose is to serve as a place where all your money is dumped and then it's getting taken the hell out. And for me, I like keep my monthly expenses on there too, because then I can just pay it off with my credit card as well. And so that's number one. Obviously, you're going to have a debit card. The next thing is a credit card. So now that you have a debit card that you're not spending with, what are you going to spend with? A credit card. The first credit card that I ever had was a credit union credit card, which helped me a lot because I was able to really learn. I had the place right across the street if I ever had any questions, if I needed any type of assistance. And this was like a really good time for me to just like learn about credit before I started, you know, really investing in a credit card. And then the next one I had was the Capital One Saver One card, which was perfect because for study abroad, I didn't have any transaction fees or anything like that. And I mean, y'all saw me on the Capital One page or whatever. I did a little collab with them because I was just like, no way. Like, they reached out to me and I was already using them. Amazing. So always really good starter points. Right now, I have the American Express gold card, and I actually just invested in that this year, and that has helped not only my credit score, but it just helped me learn so freaking much about credit card benefits. You have no idea. I can like freaking dissect that in a whole other video. But you need a credit card, and really you need to just make sure that one, you're not spending too much. I think it's about 30% of whatever your budget or your limit is what you want to spend. Give or take, honestly, some months is up, sometimes it's down, but what I really focus on is being able to pay it on time, always. I pay it about a week ahead of time, and that always works out for me. 800 credit score, baby, yeah. And 21, yeah. So that's what helps me personally, is just being able to pay it on time and not spending money that I do not freaking have. Like, I just think that's embarrassing. Even I'm like, why? Who do you think you are going out to lunch and you don't have the capabilities for that, big man? Put it down, cook. So I just never ever spend money I don't have. I never do. I think it's just like not even okay. And you might be like, okay, girl, like some people are in situations where they need to spend money they don't have. But then you want to know what you can do? Have an emergency fund. So what I do is I built an emergency fund, and I literally put like thousands of dollars in there, and I just, every time there's an emergency, and only an emergency, where I truly, and I have nothing to do, like, I never ask people for money, but like, I literally have nowhere in my financial corner to turn. That's the only time I'm ever touching that emergency. And obviously this is not just any regular savings account. This is a high yield savings account where I'm earning interest on every type of money that I make. So at this point, I make over like $100 a month just for having money in my savings account. And it just adds up, and that's it. And that in itself is like building itself. So that is really great. I personally donate any interest that I get though, but it's up to you and like your beliefs on interest, obviously, but it's a really great way to build your money and to have a savings account where your money earns itself. So now you know about a debit card, you know about credit cards and how to utilize them, and now you know about an emergency savings account, but also the type of savings account that you need to have is a high yield savings account. The next thing that we want to get into considering is investing, and you can do that through a Roth, you can do that through a brokerage account. And obviously if you are a full-time employee, you have a 401k where your company matches you. And this is a huge thing to be considering if you are a senior in college and are trying to work full-time, and so one of the big things that I'm looking into when it comes to companies is, are you gonna match? You're gonna match. What's your 401k plan? Like, what's up? So that's a huge thing, but I would say start off small, and that is kind of the next big thing. Obviously, this is for college students, so you guys are all still in university, but if you are a senior, that's something that you can look into, and I could talk about all the things that I'm looking into when it comes to full-time jobs and like what companies are providing. You want to be as informed as possible when it comes to finances in general, but especially if you're graduating this year. But yeah, that's kind of my little journey with finances, and I'm at a really good place with that right now, which all praisings to God himself, because that was all him. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. At the end of the day, though, it of course comes down to just being a responsible person. Like, do not spend money that you do not have. That's why you have an emergency fund if you really do need to spend it. And plan ahead, budget. Oh my God, budget. You guys would not believe like how bad of budgeting I was about a year ago, and now I'm like actually doing so much better, but there's always room for improvement. Oops. And always have multiple streams of income. The way that I try to fund my lifestyle, because I am kind of a high maintenance bitch, is by having multiple streams of income, which I can get into as well.
My credit score is currently 814. I want to tell you how I got there so you can get there as well. But first, welcome back to episode 4 of Financial Literacy Basics for the Girls. To tell you the real deal, how I have gotten my credit score to where it is, there's really 3 things that I've done that I think you should do as well to boost your credit score. 1, I make all of my payments on time. I have never missed a payment ever. That's the baseline thing, right? You should have perfect payment history because that's what most of your credit score is dependent on. So always make the minimum payments. Put it on auto pay so that you don't have to deal with possibly forgetting or anything like that. Number 2, try to keep your utilization as low as possible. I know people often say you have to have 30% and below. 30% is a great threshold to be at. I try to keep my credit usage less than 5%. That might be a bit aggressive, but it has allowed me to keep my score above 800. I just pay all of my bills before they're even due. So there's never any statement balance that generates because it's paid already. So my utilization is always under 5%. Lastly, to get to above the 800 threshold, you do have to have that mix of credit. So you have to have different kinds of debt, and you have to have shown a history of paying it off over time. So I've had personal loans, I've had a car note, I've had a bunch of credit cards that I've been paying on forever. I've paid off my student loans. So there's a lot of history of debt there that I have paid and ran up again and have continued to pay. That's really important. Credit scores are a measure of how well you manage debt and how much the banks can make off of you ultimately. So you want to continuously use debt, but be responsible with it. Pay it off, pay it early. You don't want to rack up things that you know that you can't pay, because that's what ultimately reduces your credit score. Stay tuned for the next episode of Financial Literacy Basics for the Girls.
Here are the 5 financial baby steps that I wish I took in my 20s so that I could be rich and retired in my 30s and 40s. Baby step 1 is to just save $1,000. Saving $1,000, that alone would put you ahead of 60% of Americans. Real goal should be to save a 4 to 6 month emergency fund. This will give you a financial and mental cushion that says, hey, I don't have to operate in survival mode any longer. I know that no matter what happens, I am good for the next 6 months of my life. I know y'all gonna sit here and ask me, well, how do I save that money? You need to learn to live below your means. If you're not making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, you don't need to be driving Mercedes, nothing. $100,000 is the new $60K a year. No Balenciaga, no Prada, no Uber Eats, no DoorDash. Get your broke ass up, go make it or pick it up, because you can't afford it. Here's the second step. Every week that you get paid, I want you to take $100 and put it into an envelope. I want you to put it into an envelope. This is how you will build your trust and relationship with money. Every time you go to open that envelope and you see more and more $100 bills in there, you start to trust yourself with money. I'll say it again. Treat your money like you would your wife. There's no trust, there's no relationship. Screw the savings account. Go open a brokerage account or a Roth IRA. 9 times out of 10, if your money is sitting in a savings account, probably losing money. S&P 500 has an average return of 10% every single year and has recovered from every single crash in history. If you have the brain power to open and start a social media account, you can start a brokerage account. It's that simple. Name, email, address, what type of brokerage account you want, a retirement one, high risk, low risk. Then you add your bank information so that you're able to add money into your account. 4, because I know y'all gonna ask me, well, what should I invest in? 3 EFTs I would invest in as a beginner. This ETF I would invest into, VOO or SPY. These track the S&P 500, aka the top 500 companies in America. Second ETF I would invest in is called QQQ. This tracks the top 100 technology companies. Things like AI, ChatGPT. These do have a little more risk associated with it, but you also have potential for more growth. For my third EFT or investment, think about the shit that you use every day at Walmart, Amazon, Costco, your Visa card. Instead of being a consumer of these companies, become an investor. Change your mindset. Last and final baby step, to find you a job that pays you over 100K per year. Working 40 or 50 hours a week for a job that only pays you $60,000 is not going to cut it in today's time. It's not. You need to find a job that pays you over 100K and allows you to leverage your time. Examples: travel nurse, project management, sales, content creator, shit, OnlyFans. I don't care what it is. Need to learn to make more money or you'll be stuck in this rat race. I hope this video helps. Until next time, peace.
I think my frontal lobe finally developed because I realized this week that there are some things I just will no longer spend my money on. And I can say this because I'm 32 years old and I feel like I spent a lot of my 20s making not the best financial decisions. And I'm not saying anything huge. I didn't do anything crazy, but looking back, it was money that I just don't think was well spent. So I'm going to tell you guys what I think those things are. Number 1, fast fashion. Okay. You will no longer catch me shopping at Forever 21, Shein, Zaful, whatever those websites are anymore. I do think that I was a victim to Shein, especially in my late 20s, and I just will no longer purchase clothes from them or any kind of fast fashion because I always end up getting rid of it and the quality is just so poor. And I know and I understand people are going to say like, oh, well, in this economy, like I get it, but the amount of money that I spent on those brands over years, I could have gotten a few really good staple wardrobe pieces that I could rewear and use longer and it just looks better. Number 2, fake jewelry. Okay, so I no longer buy any kind of fake jewelry at all because it's all in the trash. It's all in the garbage. It all tarnishes, or even cheap jewelry. Now I just invest in really nice either sterling silver or gold or white gold, which again, I don't have a lot, you guys. Like the pieces that I wear I've had for a long time, or my parents gave me whenever I was younger, or I invested in them recently, but I just will no longer wear fake jewelry because they always end up in the trash. And the amount of money I could have just saved, I could have gotten some really good pieces, like a nice pair of gold hoops that I could wear all the time. I will not spend any more money that I need to on makeup. Okay, so again, in my 20s, I was that girl that I would need the newest blushes, the newest eyeshadow palette, the newest everything, contour. Like I fell victim to whatever that is. I can't even think of the word right now. Overconsumption, especially in makeup. Like I was a Sephora VIB Rouge member for years, which means that I had to spend over $1,000 in Sephora in a year, in a calendar year. And I know for a fact I did not use all that makeup. I threw out so much of the makeup that I bought. It all went to the trash. I will not purchase cheap supplements. I really focus on myself. I have a chronic illness now. So now more than ever, I've realized how important it is to take care of myself, especially internally with my health. And I just will not buy cheap supplements, okay? Because they're probably not what they say that they are. Not everything is on the label is correct. So I just make sure to invest in good supplements that are good and nourishing for my body. And again, I understand the economy right now. I'm not saying that I'm rolling in the dough, but you invest your money where you want to. So if I have to sacrifice going out to eat or spending money eating out to make sure that I have my vitamins and supplements that I need and good and healthy food, then that's what I'm gonna do. Basically, any big purchase now that I make, I really think it thoroughly because I just know that I wasted so much money in my 20s just buying stuff that I no longer have because it just wasn't a good investment. So I think my frontal lobe finally developed in my 30s. Should have happened at 25, but at 25 I was still making these bad choices. I definitely would just invest in save, so I can buy the things that I know I'm gonna wear, that I know I can pass down, that I know that is good for me, and not overspend and have any overconsumption of anything. I think the only thing that I personally have overconsumption of is activewear, but I'm also a Buff Bunny Collection athlete, so I don't purchase all of that. I also give some away, so if you guys want to follow me, I do give away that stuff. But that was like the only thing that, but I wear activewear like every single day of my life, so that made sense. But other than that, yeah, we don't overconsume anymore. We don't spend money on things that we're not going to rewear, that we're not going to reuse, and it's just better over here.
All right, so this is financial literacy and stability for beginners. If you've been trying to get your money together but don't know where to start, this is the simple 3-step system that I use to go from confused and broke to confident and in control. Number 1 is clarity. I'm gonna break this down as simple as possible. You cannot manage what you can't see. Like, if it's not something that you can see in here, it's not something that's gonna become a reality out there. So you have to get clear on everything financially. For this, I suggest writing it down. Your income, your bills, your spending habits. This right here is typically the hardest place for people to begin, but it's the truth that everybody needs to see, because the truth is gonna set you free. Number 2, you gotta prioritize. Now that you have clarity about your finances, what's coming in and what's going out, now you need to get clear about where you're going. This is why you gotta have set goals, clear, concrete goals to accomplish and to achieve, and prioritize what matters most. For me, I teach monthly expenses in your checking, $2,000 immediate fund in your regular savings, at least $10,000 in a high yield savings account for your emergency fund, at least $100 a month being invested towards the future. Then you focus on eliminating the debt. Okay, the only way this works is if you attack one goal at a time. Prioritize one goal, hit that goal, then move on to the next. That's how you create momentum financially, and how you become financially free a lot quicker. Then step 3 is automate, then adjust. Now that we have clarity and the goals that we need to prioritize, now it's time to set up the systems and automations to get there. For a lot of people, this is another tough spot just because they're not used to it, but in reality, you are used to it. Setting up a $200, $300, $400, $500 automation to go towards saving is pretty much what most people do every month anyway. They buy things that they cannot afford, that don't fit in the budget, but some way, somehow it always ends up working out. It's the same thing. So set it up based on the plan, even though you don't think this is going to work, and then make the adjustments later. You'll be surprised at exactly how much you'll be able to automate your system. Even if it's not the amount that you initially planned, whatever you adjust to is more than what you was doing before. I can make you one of these 3-step plans to walk you through all this with clarity. Okay, no BS, no fluff, no complicated formula. Just head to my website, imyourmoneycoach.com, or comment the word stability and I'll get it to you.
Part 8 of a 30-day series where I'm sharing everything that I've learned over the past 10 years as a financial advisor. This one is specifically for the parents out there and how to set your children up financially. The first thing that I recommend is establishing credit for them before they turn 18. So you can do this by adding your child as an authorized user on your credit card, never actually giving them the card. They don't even know that they have access to it, but then they're building credit for all of these years prior to even being an adult. I believe Amex allows you to do this as early as the age of 13. If you have a child that's working, let's say they're 16, they are a server somewhere, you can help them establish a custodial Roth IRA. It allows them to contribute to this account and start learning the ropes of how to invest. It's tax advantageous, but also gives them flexibility in the future because they can access those contributions at any point. They can't touch the earnings, but the contributions are fair game. There are a number of different investment accounts that you can set up for your children. A 529 account, an UTMA, an UGMA, a standard brokerage account. I can do a separate video explaining the differences between all of these accounts, but I have several set up for my children. I automatically send money over to those accounts every month. And obviously, the most important thing that you can do as a parent is teach your children financial literacy early on, because we all know that the school system isn't going to do this for you. So I actually had a client, he owned laundromats, and he wanted to start working with his 8-year-old on businesses and money. And so he allowed his 8-year-old son to put a vending machine in his laundromat. It was like little toys or something like that. But it was such a creative way to be able to show his son how to manage a business and then give him the opportunity to start making decisions for himself. So they would go, they would get the money, they would talk about it. He would teach him, you know, if you take the money or you can reinvest it. And eventually his son had a vending machine in every single laundromat that he owned. I would just encourage you to think about how you can start incorporating these kind of conversations. I'm also dying to know what you guys are doing, so let me know.